So we have our feature tonight who you're like almost a beat poet, because I asked you, where did you get the title? And you said, I don't know. No, this is a great book. I can't tell you how much I like Joe's work. A writer is an artist who uses words, carefully chosen, economic, that have incredible feeling. He gets so much out of so little. I just love your emails and all of that, so please.
Thank you.
What's it, a Catfish Review?
Catfish Review is the website that I have. And is it okay if I keep moving my head? I can't. The Catfish Review is a website that I publish flash fiction on, short stories. They're all somewhere between 500 and 1,000, maybe 1,100 words. And I think what Bob was talking about was that I started writing memoir as fiction. It's a long, long time ago. And it was much more memoir than fiction. And a good friend of mine who died recently, Chuck Francis, I don't know if you know Chuck Francis, one day after we were in a writing group together, and one day after we had been reading, he said, you're really very creative. I said, I don't think I am. I'm just remembering stuff. He said, well, maybe you should just not remember so much and just live in the moment. And that was great advice. And it allowed me not to have to kind of stick to the script, like what did your mother really say to you? And how did you really feel about that? And so then I started writing really short stuff, the 500-word short stories, and then I got them all into a book. It's called The Pompitous of Love. I'll tell you where that came from in a moment. And there are 60 stories in the book, and all of them are just about 1,000 words. And so writing a story, as you all write stories in your poems, you all write you tell stories in whatever form you do. And so you need to be economical in a 1,000-word story. You have to be able to say what only is important and what moves the story. I had a teacher, we were in a writing group for a while with a woman named Pat Sylvia. I don't know if you knew her. She lived in Rockport. And I was in a writing group with her, a writing workshop with her, and she had so many different exercises that we would do as we were learning to write. And one evening, we were all sitting around a friend's table, just like this, and we were writing. And she said, okay, I have a couple of photographs here. I want you to take a look at a photograph and write a story about it. And she, we picked the photographs and we started writing. And we normally would then read what we had written in that 10-minute, 15-minute period. She said, okay, I just want you to turn the page over and I want you to write it again. And we wrote it again. And then she said, okay, one more time. I want you to write the same story again. And I always felt like if I wrote it, I couldn't write it again. I couldn't write anything else. And we all did that. And she said the point of that story was you generally, when you start to write, is you're writing the preamble, you're getting it all out. You're getting your thoughts on the page. You're getting the feelings on the page. And so that what you do by doing this exercise is you finally realize what the story is that you really, really wanted to tell. And that's where the story is. It comes after you've thought it through and you've written it a little bit and you've got some of the shit that you had to say out, and then you realize you can cross that part out because you're now at a different point in your thinking about the story. So I have a story that is in the book, but as you all know, if you have a chance to revise something, you take it. You do it. And so this is a story that I wrote during the early COVID years, and it just felt right to look at it again. And the story is called Two Men on a Bench by the Water Looking East. No time to be homeless, is it? No, sir. Not a good time at all. There's good times and good places, but not here and not now. No, sir. Name's Richard. I'm Jack. Nice to meet you, Jack. You too, Richard. You got it? A lot of people do, you know. So you got to watch out. You got to be careful as shit. You sure you don't got it? No, sir. Don't believe so. Me neither. You never know, though. They say you could have it and not feel sick. I heard that, too. A lot of guys, they have it. They don't tell no one, afraid to say anything. Then they get a place for the night somewhere, and the next thing you know, everybody else has it. Better to be out on your own like us, I say. The only safe place, you know, out here. You sure you don't have it? Pretty sure. Yeah, mostly. I'll sit over here, though, just in case, you know, keep a stretch of bench between us. Each of us looking out to the water there. I don't mean to cast no aspersions, you know, just being sure, you know. I don't mean no offense. I understand. None taken. Where you from, Jack? Boston. Why'd you come way out to this winter shithole? Nights get cold as a dead man's dick here. Not cold as Albany, for sure. That's where I'm from, Albany. Why'd you say you came here again? No place to go. I lost my job. Got some family here. I took the train out. They won't take you in? Maybe, I don't know. I didn't ask. I got you, Jack. Any kids? No, 3 for me, all out on their own. A long time since I've seen them. Like to see them again, though, before I die. I like to say that. What's in the bag? Water bottle, package of Swiss cheese, wipes, phone charger, earbuds, a book, a loaf of bread I squeezed down real thin, pair of socks, toothbrush, pack of Twizzlers, and this blanket here. That's pretty much it. Shit, Jack, I should have had you pack one for me. Not that I need anything I can't find on my own. You got a place to sleep? Don't know yet. Shelter, maybe. Shelter? Fuck no, Jack. Find a place by yourself. Get off the street. Cops are looking for guys like you. Keep your eyes open. Scoot if somebody else shows up. Keep your pack close. Some guys aren't so friendly. But find a place out of the wind. Wind's the killer, Jack. Reminds me, you know. You ever read that book, Ironweed? William Kennedy? Great book. About Albany. A guy named Phelan. Francis, I think. Kennedy nails him. A bum like me. Thinks a lot, drinks a lot. Has a friend named Helen. She drinks too. Freezes to death one night in the doorway. totally breaks Francis up. Won a Pulitzer that year. Albany's no place to be in the winter. Never read it. Sounds grim. What's not grim now, Jack? Some things. Water's nice out there, the sun out there on the water, the way the waves curl over, white on top, and that light blue-green underneath. I'll give you that, Jack, the waves. The sound they make, nice. You ever been out to L.A., Jack? Nope. Waves out there, different from here. They swell up like a humpback breaking the surface, and how they crash all of a sudden. You can feel them thud in your chest like your own heart's a drum. Damn, you can sit on that beach there all night, see the sun go down, all red and pink and purple, and the stars come out. The sky gets so dark it grabs the light right out of your eyes and pulls it away from you like a quick gust of wind in your face, sucks the breath out of your lungs. God, I wish I was there. Me too. Nights like that make you think about all the things you don't know and won't never know. Nobody will know. And all the thoughts people had once, like Jesus and Einstein and your grandmother and her grandmother, and how all their electrical brain waves might have gotten caught up just like an asteroid belt or a satellite circling over us all the time. And maybe some of the energy gets caught by the gravity and gets into the raindrops and the snow and falls down on all of us randomly, like you're sitting alone sometimes and thoughts come into your head you never even thought you knew before. I never thought about it like that. No, well, times like these make you think things like that. Like all the people dying now, their brains firing away a mile a minute, hundreds of thousands, millions of thoughts, worries, and all the fear washing away from them when they have that last electric thought as they pass. The air is filled with all of them, all those thoughts passing through the walls and the trees and into us, each of us thinking Chinese thoughts and Italian thoughts and old man thoughts and little baby thoughts, thoughts we need to pay attention to, open our brains to, I guess. Look at me, Jack. I don't know you from a sliced tomato on a ham sandwich, but you seem like a wounded chicken here, and you know what happens to them. I've seen guys like you, I'm telling you straight, they don't make it. You have options. Maybe I do too, but this is my life now. I may not make it either, but this is all I know, and I'm not changing. So, Jack, call your wife or your mother or whoever you got. Tell them the truth. Tell yourself the truth. They'll set you up, man, guaranteed. They're family. Being out here ain't no answer. Family is. They are. I don't know. I do, Jack. All I'm saying is give yourself a chance, man, while you still got one. Now listen up. Do the right thing. Do what's right for you and everyone else. Take this change here I got and this mask and put it on your face and get yourself tested. And now take it and take your fucking lame-ass Halloween goodie bag bundle there and get the fuck off my fucking bench.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, I got to tell you my story, and then I want to know your story. There are a couple of lessons that I learned over a long time, and one of them is, can't remember who said it. It might have been Ann Beatty. I'm not really sure. Whoever it was, I know it was a woman. She said, "Come to the page without judgment." And so when I write a story and I know it doesn't work it doesn't work because there's judgment in it. And the other thing that's in it is too much me. And one of the things I try to do in my writing, and it's different from all of this I know, is to not be me. To be the person in the story, to be a different person than I am. And I'm sure you feel this so many times yourself. You're not writing the words, you're the portal through which the words come out. And I mean, it's just as if your mind is just working in another place, and the words are just coming into you and out of you. And if it stops being like that, and it does a lot of times, then it's not genuine anymore. It's not authentic anymore. It's not telling the true story anymore. It's telling your story. It's telling your mishigas. And when you get yourself out of the way, I think you are writing a much more genuine piece of writing. And probably, the Pompitous of Love, that's in a Steve Miller song, the Joker. And I did a little research on it because I couldn't understand what the Pompitous of Love meant. And I wrote a story about it. And the story is about the Pompitous of Love. It's about what the hell does love mean? Where does it come from? Where does it go? And all the different ways people talk about, oxytocin and all the hormones. But what is it really? And so I wrote a story, and I called it The Pompitous of Love, and then I took it here. But anyway, the Steve Miller song is really stolen from another guy, a guy named, I know his last name was Green. I can't remember his first name. He was a blues singer way back, and he just made up the word. It was like the Pulpitudes of Love. I think that's what he wrote. And when Steve Miller heard Pulpitudinous of Love, he said Pompitous in the story, and that's where that came from. So that's my story. What's your story? Somebody said we were going to talk.
I'm wondering, could we have one more? And do you have a story about an argument of a family in New York, the son? And do you know the one I'm talking about?
Well, there were one of the pairs of characters that I work with is a young guy named Malachi, and he has conversations with his mother. We never know what his mother's name is. He says Ma or Mom or whatever. And so there are a bunch of stories with Malachi and his mother, but do you remember?
It had a twist and got quite humorous, and I wish I could remember it more clearly than that. That's why I was asking it for the second time. You can pick just any one. It might have had to do with him thinking about moving out or something.
Well,
Pick
no. There was a story about him, about his sister moving out.
Okay.
Sister was moving to, I think, Mississippi, and she fell in love with a with a Zen Buddhist, and she's moving to Mississippi, and so the mother says, "Your sister, the Zen." But I have another story I could read, but
Sure.
Where did I put my bag? Do you see my bag?
Yeah.
That is the one I was thinking of.
Your sister, the Zen. Yeah. I'm sorry, I should have come better prepared with more stories. I'd like you to read a different story, if that's okay. I think this one. I'm sorry.
I'm amazed that you remember what you wrote. I can't remember anything I wrote.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry for taking your time.
Your stories are so visual. They seem like they could be plays.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, that's one of the things that I was working on with Chuck Francis before he died, and that was to take some of the stories that I had written. And he was a playwright, and we were working on a couple of stories that he would put into a play. I'd like to read this one to you. This is a new story. This is not in the book. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Anything's okay. You pick.
This is called The Dreamer from the Dream. Between the end of his first and his soon-to-be second marriage, Arnold Bregman lived a quiet and peaceful life, cooking only what pleased him, cleaning his tiny walk-up apartment, shopping at corner markets, most evenings fashioning a modest meal, reading until his eyes fluttered, getting into bed, and sleeping well. In time, though, his vividly pleasant dreams turned dark, seeping like fetid sludge out of his sleep and into his waking hours, terrifying him. In them, he'd been involved in a murder, a brutal murder, the details of which he could not remember, the murder of a man he might have known, whose name he could not recall, and whose disappearance he was sure would soon become apparent. Certainly, the certainty that this had actually happened, no matter how implausible, would not loosen its grip on him. Following such dreams, he was consumed with crushing guilt, the fear of being found out, and the looming horror of punishment. Distraught, with no one he felt he could talk to, he consulted a psychiatrist referred to him by a friend. After a few sessions, the psychiatrist, a man named Ostrov, found no signs of psychosis, no signs of an aggressive, psychopathic, sociopathic, or dangerously disturbed personality. He was, Dr. Ostrov told him, a man living with ominous guilt, but it was not for the crime he believed he had committed. But why then, Bregman asked, would I have such horrible thoughts? Why can I not rid my mind of them? Bregman was not an unintelligent man. He should have anticipated the response, being familiar with how psychiatrists worked. But he was nevertheless surprised when Ostrov said, neatly crossing his legs, his face as straight as the crease in his trousers, "Why do you think that's so?" "I don't know. Why would I be here now if I knew?" Bregman replied. "Well, you tell me," said Ostrov, shifting gently in his chair. Bregman increasingly doubted the value of continuing with therapy. Ostrov seemed unconcerned about the depths of his despair. He'd yawn, nodding off at times while Bregman was speaking. Bregman could not bring it up to the psychiatrist, feeling he must be terribly boring and unworthy of the man's attention. At $200 per session, which Bregman could ill afford, he would soon have to stop. But perhaps, Bregman thought, Ostrov was being quite shrewd, merely playing at nodding off just to test him, to see if Bregman could be pushed to react to being so badly treated, goading him to the point that his true belligerent nature would erupt. As he approached Ostrov's office, he decided to announce that he was going to stop coming, to try to work things out on his own. But before he had the chance to speak up, Ostrov suggested that Bregman might agree to hypnosis as a possible and more productive approach to therapy, and they agreed that in the next session, Bregman would submit to what Ostrov described as light hypnosis. The night before the hypnosis was to take place, Bregman once again entered the dream, again as if it were present reality. He was standing with two men in a dank, cramped basement. It was cold. The granite walls were damp and dimly lit. In the center of the dirt floor was a cast iron cover beneath which Bregman knew was a narrow pit with the crumpled body of the murdered man, his bloody clothes still clinging to his body. They had come to move the body that evening, suspecting that someone, as absurd as that was, had told the police about the crime. They hurriedly fitted the bloodied man's remains into a leather duffel and dragged it out into a shadowed alley. He was filthy with grime and blood, gagging on the ferrous odor. He stood in a light drizzle, not knowing where to go or what to do. In the morning, he awoke to the acrid smell of his own sweat. He felt trapped, unable to tell the dream from the reality. That he might have murdered someone seemed a palpable reality, which he had long effectively blocked from his consciousness. Surely he could not allow himself to be hypnotized. He couldn't go to the appointment, unsure of what was real and what he might say. But then, if he didn't show up, what might Ostrov do? Break confidentiality and report him? Commit him as a threat to others or himself? At Ostrov's door, he hesitated, attempted to leave, but he did not. He was not truly a murderer. Of course not. He would go in. Ostrov would hypnotize him and reveal a simple, plausible explanation for his dreams. Some unresolved Oedipal feelings that they would work on together in truth. That's all he wanted. It was not uncommon at the very cusp, was it not uncommon at the very cusp of a therapeutic turning point for one to resist the prospect of change? Was not the known present better than the unknown future? As he stood outside Ostrov's door, the woman who had the appointment before him emerged from inside. The faint aroma of her cologne and her endearing inward affect reminded him of a woman he once knew and cared a great deal for. Their relationship, however, had ended badly. After they'd split, she'd haunted him, came to where he worked, called him at all hours of the day and night. I loved you, and you left me, like the remains after the vultures have left, she told him. He'd killed, she said, every loving cell in her body, and he would have to live with that on his conscience for the rest of his life. The woman, leaving Ostrov's office, smiled, nodded, and went on her way. Though they had never spoken, each time he had seen her over the past several months, he felt increasingly more attracted to her. Each time she smiled and averted her eyes as she passed him, just as she had now done. He turned, taking a step to follow her down the stairs, but then he stumbled. "Stop this," he thought. "What are you doing? This is absurd. Who am I? How sad and sick is this chasing after a woman you don't know? Just go in and tell Ostrov all about this, all of this. He will know what to do." Despairing, tormented by the weight of his indecision, he leaned his head back against the wall and slowly slid himself down until his fingers reached the soiled edge of a once green carpet. He closed his eyes, and there he sat, gripped in the unknown of whatever would come next.
Wow. Very good.
The title "Dreamer from the Dream" is kind of play on the dancer from the dance. I'm not. That's a line from a W.B. Yeats poem. I think it's called "Among School Children," and the last line is, "How can you tell the dancer from the dance?" So, how can you tell the dreamer from
It
the
also
dream?
reminded me of Chuang Tzu and the butterfly. Do you know that one?
No.
Yeah, the butterfly dreaming he was the man, dreaming he was a butterfly.
Say again?
The man dreaming he was the butterfly dreaming he was a man, dreaming he was a butterfly.
Right. Yes. Was it a butterfly dreaming he was a
Yeah,
man, or a man
right,
dreaming he
circles.
was a butterfly? You were right. To have some discussion would be great, but you started off exactly going to the heart of the matter, talking about the process, which your story seemed to say that exercise where without knowing it, you then do your revision, and then you think you've done your revision, and then without knowing it, you do your revision again, and that process is actually kind of like a distillation. And that's something that it's as complicated as love to me, because do you trust the original impulse? And when the story changes like that, are you making a particular judgment, or is each one of those just letting go and doing what comes out? It is doing what comes out.
Right. Right.
I've always thought, Bob, that for me anyway, my first draft, whatever I write, is always my best. And of course it goes through 10 more drafts, but that's beside the point. Anything that comes after the first draft is filler. And it does make the story better in many, many ways. But I've always held to that first draft as being, this is what I wanted to say. I may not have said it as like I wanted to say, but this is what I wanted to say.
And I think there's a value that of a process that's harder to do on these things than when it's handwritten. I will change and then erase what I had there before. So I don't have my first draft. And then you get to the point and say, no, that isn't quite right. What did I say before?
Yeah. Never trust your memory. Yeah. So
Well, I never get rid of a version. I have all of the versions, and so once I decide that I need to take a paragraph out
Yeah.
or move it to that can't be the first paragraph. It has to be the third paragraph, that kind of thing. I keep the first one, and then I have the second one, and the third, and the fourth. That helps.
A common phrase that you probably already know, but it seems to be so true to me. A poem is never finished. It's only abandoned. Okay. You do it and then something else.
Yeah.
When you do a separate, you say you keep all of your versions. When I've tried that, I copy everything that I have and then drop it into a new document, and then that's the one that I edit. Do you go about it the same way as that, or what's the way you do it?
Well, it varies. Sometimes I will take the old original draft and I'll move it down to the bottom of the page, and then work on the new one at the top. But the other thing about writing really short stuff, that last story was not so short, is that there's a whole lot of stuff in the first draft that that is in there for different reasons than telling the story.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough to have a great editor in Roberta, my wife, and she will say, "What? What are you saying there? Take that out." And she's always right.
Yeah, lucky.
Always right.
Lucky to have that. Do you know your complete story when you begin it?
No.
Okay.
No.
That makes me feel good.
That's another good question.
Yeah.
You find out where it goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
And the other thing I like is you don't tell me anything. You're showing it, or it's an internal dialogue. A lot of it is dialogue as opposed to sort of abstracting something out of it.
Well, that's an old adage: show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And so many times in workshops, somebody will say, "That's a tell." You can't explain something in your story. If you have to explain it in your story, you haven't let the story tell itself. And that's my goal, is to have the story tell itself. So that if somebody, for example, somebody has to give you the setup to the story when they introduce it, that's waste. It's just a waste. Because there should be no setup other than what is on the page.
Mm-hmm.
And you start the story where the story starts.
Joe, you said something that I found very interesting about a teacher of yours who talked about judgment. And then somebody here brought up Yeats at the same time. You know that Yeats has this idea of negative capability, which is to suspend judgment so that you can learn. And that's the only way you learn, is by suspending that judgment. So I thought that was I don't know who that was. She probably maybe snagged that from Yeats as well.
Yeah, well, it was actually in a book that said so-and-so said it in a lecture I went to, and so it was really hard to say where. But I think the issue of withholding judgment, or not coming to the page without judgment, I think that there's a purity to that, a purity to the character. You're not having your bias.
Yeah, you're not pushing your agenda.
Right.
I've been fortunate to get into good workshops, and there was one I was in with Billy Collins, and he said, he wasn't talking to me, he was saying, he's talking in general, he says, I know this is incredible, the metaphor that you use to close the poem, and how beautiful the ending was. But that wasn't the ending of the poem. The poem ended when I stopped reading it.
Yeah, well, he's just being funny there.
Yeah, right.
Lead someone.
It's interesting. Yeah, a lot of good things to say. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Are you from this area? Where are you from?
Well, I live in Rockport,
Yeah.
but I've lived a lot of places.
Really?
I lived in Brooklyn and in Manhattan for a long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stories in here are Brooklyn-based stories. The Malachi and his mother stories.
Yeah, yeah.
I've written a couple of stories about, like, I have one story called The Third Day. It's about God, on the third day and what was going to happen on the third day and what did happen on the third day, but all the things that he was thinking about. And he happens to be a California surfer as he's making this earth. So, but it's so much fun to be able to get out of yourself and to be that person, and to wonder at, like, oh my God, waves, and currents, and those thingy things, those spinny things that come down from the trees, and yeah, maybe I'll make one of those, that kind of thing. So it's important for me to be having fun while I'm writing, whether it's comedic or not.
And are you related to Muriel Rukeyser?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was first cousin of my father.
Okay.
Yes.
No.
So what's on the agenda? You must have gotten a story from tonight. Are we all in it?
I did write a story. I started to play pickleball a couple of years ago, like a lot of other people, and I got into such arguments with people playing pickleball about the rules, and so one day after I was really hepped up about the arguments about the rules, I wrote a couple of stories about the pickleball and the folks I was playing with, and so I haven't talked to them since that. They were a little miffed at that.
With your story, they read.
They read the story. Yeah, I had posted it on the website.
Ah, okay. And the emails I was talking about is you will periodically send out a story.
Yes,
and
right.
They're always a delight.
Well, thank you.
So,
Time for Heidi to go to
I
sleep.
am so tired. I'm so sorry.
no problem.
Teach the children.
I think I declare this bridge open, and we can cross it and go home.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great night.